let's go. Marathon.
Yeah. All right, we're live, apparently. But I can edit this. I don't know if I will. Depends on what you say. I might have to edit some things. Some things
Why would you ever need to edit something that I said?
Because you tend to just talk and not filter.
Filters are no fun.
Yeah, anyways. All right, so today on the show, we're going to be talking about the leaderboard with CrossFit and people obsessing over the leaderboard.
Especially in their own box.
Yeah, it's a little ridiculous. So I think the first point is, what do we think people do wrong with the leaderboard?
Well, something that you bring up all the time is that it's really a tool mainly for the coaches to know where their athletes are at and how to better program for them.
Yes.
But what people tend to see it as like a black and white, where I stand in my gym kind of thing, which it's not. I mean, first of all, everybody's scaling differently.
Yeah.
So right there's a huge issue if you try to use that as a comparison between you and other people in your gym, because it can end up being really deceiving. I've had days where I was one of the lowest numbers on the leaderboard, but that would be because of the people that did scale. I scaled the least on some occasions,
Right.
or there were some occasions that people that just blew me out of the water, you know, they look at what they did and they probably should have gone at least 20 pounds heavier on their weights. There's always other factors at play. So it's not the one-to-one correlation that a lot of people tend to use it as.
Yeah, you know, I think in a way the kind of competitive side of it is good. Like I've seen that work in many different sports. I mean, our high school baseball team, which I didn't play on, but they had a leaderboard of like, you know, squat, bench, deadlift, leg drive.
Yeah, I think that's great.
I used it responsibly, and what I mean by that is it wasn't like, oh, you know, this person did this, so now I'm gonna go squat. But even if I don't truly get it and I'm like 2 inches above where I should be in my squat, I'm still gonna count it just to win. They didn't do that. So I think, and they didn't call people and say that they cheated or they lied.
Oh my gosh. Yes, I was talking to one of my friends and she was mentioning that she hadn't actually posted any of her scores for a couple of weeks because somebody at the box had accused her of cheating in her scores. And that really pissed me off because she's one of like the sweetest, best, nicest people I know. And I see her in the gym. I work out with her. She works so hard. Like she gives her 100% in every single workout and she's always pushing herself. I've never seen her sandbag once. So the fact that somebody actually accused her of that really kind of pissed me off. It's like it's not even that serious.
Yeah, people take it and it's like it's a relative measure of how you're doing compared to the other people around you. So really, if the leaderboard never changes, but everyone gets better, they just move up. So like the guy in first place stays in first, third place stays in third. Your frame time increases. Everyone's frame time increases.
Yeah.
That's still a positive thing. That's still good. The gym as a whole has increased and you as an individual have increased. But to do all this like little kids squabbling over, well, you cheated, you didn't put this, you didn't put that. Like, my opinion is, if you're scaled, leaderboard doesn't matter at all. It only matters for the coach to see how you did, and then in the notes to put, this is how I scaled, this is what I was having trouble with, this is why I did that, and give feedback so the coach can be like, okay, this is what's happening. This is what, at least what they're thinking. So, yeah, if you're scaled, it shouldn't matter. If you're RX, it's more of a level playing field, and now it's like, oh, okay, did this, did that. But still, the main purpose in my mind is just to build up a picture overall. You know, if it's like Will is in first place in this kind of workout, but he's in last place in this kind of workout, okay.
Yeah.
Is that a trend across multiple people? Then maybe as a gym we need to cultivate that. or we need to just say, hey, dude, do some extra work here. So.
I mean, really, the best use of the leaderboard is just for yourself, so you can see how you're doing and how you're improving, because you can compare those different workouts that you've done in the past that are similar, see if you're improving, see if there's something you're consistently held back by. Or, of course, it's most important when you're doing like the girls or the heroes or any of the benchmark workouts, so then you can really see how you've grown. So in that way, it's really important. But when you start using it to put competition where there really is none.
Yeah. I think, moving around a little bit.
Ooh, new view.
Yeah, really. You know, I really think CrossFit is unfortunately full of terrible.
What are you doing?
I'm setting it up so it looks better. Okay. So, in my opinion, a lot of CrossFitters are cool, they're chill, whatever. Like, they're just in there to get better and all that. But you're always going to have people who are there just for an ego kick, right?
Yeah.
And that's where I think, you know, stuff kind of falls down, and using like tools like the leaderboard to say, okay, I improved. You know, just because you didn't beat someone else that you've been chasing, it's not an issue. Like, it's a workout. It's not competition. It's not competition every day. Now, you should have a little bit of competitive nature, especially in certain workouts, just to help push you and help get more out of you. But it's not a competition. It doesn't matter. Ooh, first place today. Well, it's going to be different tomorrow and the next day and the next day. So
sometimes.
Well, yeah, you do get people who are just freaks, and it's like, or they just work hard, and it's like, okay, that person just puts in more.
And every time I see them, I'm like, dang, good for you, man. Awesome. I wish I was there. Not even close.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at, like, I love listening to Brendan Schaub and Fighter and the Kid and all that. A lot of the MMA guys just give respect to each other. Like, they're competitive. They want to beat each other. But it's like, hey, you won that fight? Awesome, dude. It's good for you. It's like, there's none of this ridiculous hate.
Yeah.
So.
And it just seems kind of off balance. Because, I mean, as a whole, from what I've seen, like, CrossFit is just such a good community that even if someone does better than you, it's like, awesome, man. You just absolutely killed that. Great for you. I'm working on it. You know, but there are some people that just kind of have a way of confusing it.
Yeah.
Which is always a little sad. But, and I mean, goodness to know we all have those days where we put a little bit more stock in the leaderboard than maybe we should. Like, I've definitely, on some days where I'm like really not sure about a workout, sometimes I'll look at the leaderboard and be like, where's everybody else finishing this in? So and sometimes that's a good thing, because sometimes, like, okay, people are average finishing this between 10 and 12 minutes. That means I need to shoot for X minutes per round. And so I can use that to push me. So sometimes it can be a good thing.
Yeah, I love how Brandon lately with our stuff has been like, this workout should take between this and this. I think that's a really good idea.
That is a good idea, because then it helps you with pacing. And it's a constructive tool.
Yeah, because we know this guy doesn't pace.
No, you don't.
This guy blows it out within the first round, and then it's just dead.
Just every time we work out together, I feel like I'm holding you back for like the first 2-3 rounds. I'm like, oh, I'm like way past him. I like the last two.
Well, when I get threatened with burpees, if I don't come back first in the run, it's like, okay.
Man, that made me so mad. Thrown under the bus. I don't want to run. I don't like to run. I'm getting better.
We need to do it. So we need to do it more. Yeah. Another thing, what do you think about people who have kind of CrossFit ADD, where they're like, I want to do CrossFit and CrossFit endurance, CrossFit and CrossFit football, CrossFit and this other thing. And they just jump around all the time. And I've been guilty of it before.
Yeah, I think we all have. I I know we recorded episodes over the summer that never got posted. I don't remember which ones those were. So I know we talked about jumping from program to program. I don't remember if that one actually ended up getting posted ever or not. No?
No, it didn't. No.
Well, here's good. Here's where my CrossFit ADD comes in, because I'm not knowledgeable enough in programs to really feel comfortable with even trying to jump programs in the first part. Here's where my problem comes in, though, is that I have so many weak points and so many skills I want to develop, especially because I want to compete, that I just want to work on all of them at once. And you can't do that. So I have trouble figuring out where to break it down and to focus on, okay, I need to work on this skill right now. Once that skill's filled up, start focusing a little bit more and shift on that. That's where I have problems where the CrossFit ADD, as you call it, comes in.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting where people, now that we have access to the internet, people want to look up and, try to look up West Side stuff and look up, Juggernaut stuff, which is more Bulgarian style and all this other stuff. Mm-hmm. It's like, the best thing you can probably do is probably just sit down and read the stupid book. Like, read West Side Methods.
Yeah.
Read Becoming a Supple Leopard. Because people just don't apply it correctly. They see like a snapshot. It's like, okay, that's what they do.
Yeah.
Right then, but you don't get the underlying principle that builds everything. Like I was talking about, I've seen the same underlying principle in the stuff that Corey Gregory does, that Joe DeFranco does, that Westside does, that Mark Bell does. It's like, it's basically the same principle. You get strong using usually some sort of conjugate method. If you're a little bit newer, at least in my opinion, if you're a little bit newer, guys who are advanced, like you listen to the Juggernaut guys, they still like the Bulgarian stuff all the time. But, Corey Gregory mixing a little Bulgarian and Russian conjugate together for the squat every day. Mm-hmm. And then he said sometimes we'll just go straight into an Arnold day. Well, what's that? That's just volume. It's hypertrophy work, right? And you listen to Louis, yeah, they do a lot of that specialty, like 3 rep max, 1 rep max, all that. But they do mostly spatial exercises. With spatial exercises, that means like hamstring curls with light weight forever, dragging sleds, carrying medicine balls, doing both of those at the same time, pushing wheelbarrows, all this other stuff, but what would turn out to be a higher volume.
Mm-hmm.
So that's one thing where once you understand the principle of what works across all these different spectrums, it's like, oh, I can just do that and apply it directly to what I'm doing instead of having to jump around left and right.
See, I haven't quite figured out what those commonalities are, though, because I haven't really had time to break it down or study it. You have.
Well, that's what I'm going to school for, basically. So, well, it's above and beyond what I'm going to school for.
So what are some of the commonalities then? What do I need to be watching for? Because I'm trying to program a little bit for myself in terms of accessory, and I tend to go overboard really bad.
It's basically just branches of the conjugate method from what I can see. So, just conjugate method. DeFranco has his West Side for Skinny Bastards program, and that's just conjugate method right there. And Corey loves West Side stuff as conjugate, and he makes it with a little Bulgarian, doing it every day, doing it for so long, and there you go. You look at DeFranco. I already talked about DeFranco. Who else did I talk about? But yeah, it's Mark Bell, his jacked and tan thing. You get strong, do like a 3 rep max, then you drop the weight and you do volume. So
seems pretty simple.
It is, and you can make it complicated, and the West Side approaches, a lot of them do just to get a different stimulus because they're so high, at such a high level in their sport. But it doesn't take much craziness.
Yeah.
The change in the bands make it interesting. They give you different stimulus, especially if you're a high level guy. But I mean, if you're a guy at my level, it's not much. Just keep it simple. Lift heavy, then lift a lot, then go home, do it again. So.
Sounds similar to squat every day.
Yeah, it's the same principle. He uses the conjugate method, and then he goes out and does his volume, which is an Arnold leg day, or what he talks about with lunge, university lunging, a couple 100 meters. That's same thing.
That's a lot of lunging. I'm not a fan of lunging.
Yeah. Now, what I think is interesting is Joe DeFranco stuff of the difference between, like, I'm sure he does volume. I haven't looked too much into his stuff. So, Joe, if you're watching, please, it's cool. He'll do power performance style stuff for his football players and the pressing, but then back muscles, he'll train more hypertrophy, more bodybuilder style, because they have to be able to support. So, like when you're bench pressing, you've got the bench on your back to support you. Well, when you're on the field in football, your back muscles and structure need to be as that bench. So I think that's interesting. I think his stuff is very interesting. It's probably a lot simpler than I have broken it down, because I haven't broken down things like jumping and speed training stuff for myself yet. But I think Joe DeFranco is a really interesting guy with what he does. And he's like one of the first guys to give just like open access to, this is how I train pro guys.
Yeah, that's really awesome.
And he's got some amazing guys there. But anyway, he's down in Texas, so he's closer. So I actually might, see if I can do that one day. But
so then that's kind of jumping between training methods, as far as like they're still kind of training the same thing. But when you're talking about going between like CrossFit endurance, CrossFit football, those aren't even focused on the same things.
Yeah, that's what I mean by when you get that ADD, where it's like, I'm going to go over here and do West Side, then I'm going to come over here and do CrossFit endurance, and then I'm going to do Power Monkey, and then I'm going to do just jumping all around. It's like,
I want to do Power Monkey. That'd be so awesome. I want to get better at all the gymnastics.
I think that's great, but the thing with jumping around for me is like, yeah, you're going to move around. Like, you're going to change up stuff every now and then. But how often are you jumping? Like, is it month to month or week to week? Or is it like, you know what? Spend too much on that program and nothing else is happening. Like for me, I would have loved to kept doing small off. Problem with that is I do small off. After a CrossFit workout, I'm done for 2 hours. And I've got school and I can't afford that. So I went to something like, I went to squat every day after CrossFit, so that now I can actually recover and do schoolwork and not die. Just because it's lower volume. Like volume beats me up more than intensity. That's just what I respond to better, I think. So, yeah. Now, don't get me wrong. Volume still needs to be in there, which is why the conjugate guys do volume, because if that makes you more robust and able to handle that bigger load, that's why I like the combination of squat every day and CrossFit. Now I do it backwards for most people. Most people would squat first, then do the workout. But I work out early in the morning, so it's just, it's hard to be able to squat and then do it just because of timing with classes and the gym and all that.
Well, yeah, but I almost think it's better to train strength, especially when you are tired.
That's a theory of mine, because the common health thing is you want to train with the maximum amount of weight when you're fresh, and then you go into more conditioning stuff. That's why there's the jacked and tan method. You lift heavy, then you do hypertrophy, or do your volume, I should say, because CrossFit's not exactly hypertrophy, but it is volume. My thinking on this, and I could be completely off, this is just a theory from a young dude in college who's studying and looking at all these theories, is that lifting, so let's say I do lunge university, right? I lunge 400 meters, 800 meters, whatever. and then I go into squat. Well, if let's say my max fresh is 300, and then my max after doing that is 250, it's still the maximal amount of weight I can move at that time. So my theory is that it's the same stimulus. Now, I don't know this. I haven't looked up any research. I haven't tested it. I would love to do research on it, but we'll see. So, yeah, that's where I'm coming from with that.
No, the thing is, like, if you do train when you're tired, then, I mean, for me, I actually end up focusing more on my movement patterns. So they become better and they become stronger because I know that I'm already mentally fatigued. That means that it's going to be easy to take those shortcuts. It's going to be easy to let the knees dive in. And so I have to focus even more on making sure my knees stay out, that I have the proper depth, that I keep my chest up. You know, so for me, I actually end up improving. While my weights might be smaller when I do that, if I do end up going to hit it fresh, then all of a sudden it's going to be a world of difference because I've gotten so used to training it tired.
Yeah, I think I kind of like that thinking too. But a lot of people have issue moving, going through complex movement patterns when you're tired. My kind of take on that is you need to be smart and conscientious of what you're doing. And it's kind of like I heard Kelly talk once about when people talk about them doing high rep Olympic lifting, which, you know, most people outside of CrossFit say you shouldn't do. His rule is every rep should look better than the last one.
Right.
And so if you hold yourself to that standard and you've built in that motor pattern, then you should be fine. But, you know, when it's something like squat every day, you also, if you're going to squat after you work out, you have to be able to maintain that shape. And also, so I also heard Kelly talk about when he squatted 500. And he said that if he hadn't ingrained that motor pattern of how to squat perfectly so well, he wouldn't have been able to do it because you can't think about my positioning under 500 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I think when you're beginning, and Ryan and I have talked about this, when you're starting off, yes, do things when you're fresh, ingrain that motor pattern. And once you have that motor pattern, then when you're a little bit more advanced, we can start doing stuff when you're tired and all this. And I'm not saying I'm advanced. I'm probably jumping into this a little too quickly, but I think it'll be fun. I don't think I'll see any detriment from it. If anything,
I would say,
if anything, I'll just be better under stress because I'm used to being under stress and being tired when I do it.
Brian McKenzie, training is about making better decisions under stress.
I actually haven't heard that from him, and I'm a huge fan of his. So
I saw that on his Instagram and I screenshotted it immediately. I've been meaning to post it forever and I haven't because I keep coming across other pictures like the cat that's now up to like 60 some odd likes.
That's the truest thing in the world,
If you don't know what we're talking about, that means you should go follow our Instagram. It's full of all sorts of little hidden gems.
Yeah, I got a couple I need to send you to post. By the way, people, I don't know how to post things, and I actually forget the password to my own channel's Instagram all the time.
Which is why I'm the media manager.
Yeah, I'm terrible with tech. You should have seen me trying to set this up. It was terrible. Anyways.
It was a process. This is a labor of love.
But yeah, so that's my take on it. I mean, it is what it is. So we'll see. I'm kind of my own self-experiment. So if I fall to pieces, we know that doesn't work. So.
Well, I'm experimenting with it too. And from what I've seen, it's definitely true because I never do accessory work before the Metcons. I always do it afterwards. And a lot of times it does involve heavy lifting. And I've actually done a few, never mind just being like Olympic movements, like complex. There was, I think it was Tuesday, my accessory work involved working up to a 1 rep max of 3 deadlifts, 2 hang power cleans, and a jerk. did all this after the workout. Now, goodness knows I took a little bit of time to recover before I did so, but I managed to do that and tie my current jerk max in that complex. So,
well, and if you look at stuff like CrossFit workouts with running, you better be able to stay solid under pressure when you're tired.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like if you run a real 400, not I am usually not one to run a real 400. I'm working on it. It's been a while since I worked on sprinting, probably sitting about 4 years. It's sad. Anyways, when you run a real 400 and then you come in and you've got to do cleans, you need to be able to stay solid under that fatigue.
Yeah, that's hard.
Like, I love how Dan Bailey, who went to college for track, is like, yeah, you're running in a workout, and it's just getting scary. When he's saying that, you better be able to stay solid under that fatigue. Yeah. But anyways.
For sure.
So, yeah, circling back around, don't use the whiteboard as some reason to knock someone and tell them that they're lying. Because if they are lying on the whiteboard, they ain't worth the trouble. Because it doesn't really matter. Now, if you want to use it as motivation for yourself, because there's like some dude you're chasing or whatever, fine. But don't get all upset about it.
Yeah,
it's most useful for the coach to judge where you are and where the rest of the gym is.
And at the end of the day, you're working out for you. So if the person next to you cheats their reps, you know that. It's not going to matter. Nobody's going to remember a couple days later. And guess who's actually going to end up better in the end? It's still going to be you because you're the one putting in the full force of effort. So it doesn't matter if they cheated anyways.
Yeah. Now, if it's the open, that might be a different story. If it's a local competition,
well, if it's the open, there's judges to keep that from happening.
But you also have to keep that in mind. Like, there's a division between training and competition.
Mm-hmm.
So, even if you never compete in your life, there's a division between training and competition. Because I've heard that. I've heard, well, if I don't compete, then, that's where my competition is. No. It's division. So.
You're always competing against yourself, though. It's you against you.
Oh, my goodness. You're always competing against yourself. Yes. Giving me flashbacks to old school Nike commercials. Those are great.
Well,
I love those.
I'm sure that doesn't bother you because you're such a shoe nerd.
I am, and I'm a Nike fanboy. Like, that's just how it is. I love Nike.
It's those basketball roots.
Nike, come talk to me. No, I'm just kidding. But that's really my 2 cents on that. So, since this is the College Lifter Show, I'm going to offer some college advice for the first time.
Whoa.
Got this
hey
thing.
Now.
This thing.
It's a notebook.
Amazing. It is a notebook. So, there are 2 things. So, listening to Tim Ferriss, who I think is a very interesting guy and kind of fan of, he was talking about using a morning journal for one of 2 reasons. I like the second one better. The first one is trying to put it down and solve it out. Because for me, I'm kind of a person I can think about a topic, but I don't really know my hard stance until I write it out and kind of organize it on paper. Mm-hmm. So that's one use for it, trying to solve your problems. Do that means. The other is to trap your monkey mind on the page so you don't have those crazy thoughts bouncing around in your head all the time. And that is one of his lines, and Kara thinks it's hilarious, which is why I say it.
It is. It's so funny. It's funny.
But it's true. It's like when you're sitting there and you're trying to read, and it's like, oh, gotta do laundry. F equals X times squared. Man, that's not sucks. B plus,
I've never done that.
Or you're supposed to be reading some book and writing a report on it, and you're thinking about your workout in 2 days or that afternoon. Like, get that out of your head and move on with your day. That's, yeah.
That's a good idea. I mean,
you need to start it.
I do. I always have a sketchbook or notebook around me, just because now I am a fitness nerd by passion, but by trade, I do interior design and architecture. So I have to carry. This wasn't planned. This just happens to be sitting next to me. This isn't my journal, but it's my notebook, and it has literally like, I will be sitting in class and I'll just think of some idea for a design or something pertaining to the current project. And if I don't write it down immediately, it's going to drive me nuts. I'm going to either forget it, or in my attempts to remember it, I'm not going to be paying attention to the rest of what's going on. So I have to take it out and jot it down like that moment. So it's definitely a good idea.
Yeah, you get your thoughts out of the way. It's like, all right, it's here. I can come back to it whenever I want to come back to it. It's right there. It's nothing can distort it. It's there. Now let's move on with what we got to do, then we can shift back later. So.
Very true.
Yes, I'm very animated.
I'm not as animated today, but I think it's because I'm sitting down and my hands are on my knees. Like, if my hands have a place to go, it's okay. When I'm standing up, they're there, they're here.
Well, I'm standing up now because I got tired of sitting. Because I'm working on physics, which is kicking my butt. So yeah, whiteboard, chill out. But still put your results in. Don't be that person who's like, yeah, I don't want to be involved in this. Like, put it in, because otherwise your coach has no idea. Because when they sit there and look at the numbers, if you're not there, you're not there.
Yeah, and then if you really feel so strongly about it that you don't want to put it in for some reason, if you do come across a benchmark, at least put it in for the benchmark work. That way, that's how you really know for yourself, like on a one-to-one, I was here last year, I'm here this year. Like, those are the really important ones to keep track of, that and maxes and, all that fun stuff.
Yeah, so those are my ideas on that. Definitely look at, don't be the person who bounces around. Look at the methods behind things, and not even the methods, but the principles behind the methods, and understand those. And then you can apply that to anything.
And if you don't have time to understand them, or you've tried to and you still don't get it, reach out to someone who has a better background and knowledge, and they're always more than welcome to help you out.
Or learn through experience, like hire someone like the Power Athlete guys, Joe DeFranco, Barbell Shrugged, anyone from West Side, just Corey Gregory, start following some of his stuff. Learn through experience and learn what works best for your situation. Like I said, small works. I did it too early in my career, and it killed me on volume. Like, I shouldn't have done it this early in my career. I should have waited till I'm like 30. But
that's just some timing issues, right?
Yeah, well, it's like, it is such and the volume is where this comes from. It's such a stressful thing that it gives you a stimulus when you're already a high-level guy.
Yeah.
I'm not a high-level guy. I don't need that. And so I'm essentially beating myself up unnecessarily, and some people would argue that I'm missing out on adaptation that I could be getting if I did a better progression. So I've switched over to squat every day, and that's just how it is.
Sounds good.
So, all right, I'll start this here.
Okay.
And post it. Figure out how to do all that. So what should they check out, Kara?
Check out the Instagram always. That's the #1 place where I post. There's also a Twitter. There's a Facebook page, which I will admit that I'm horrible about posting to. But the Instagram is like the #1 place if you want to keep up with us, keep up with everything that we're doing. There's the cliftershow.com where all of this will be housed, and also has a link, I believe, to the email for the show. So you can email us if you have any questions, comments, etc.
Just cliftershow@gmail.com. Shoot us an email. That's it, folks. See you next week.